Welcome again, everyone. Today is Saturday, March 4th. Jim, you're there?
I'm here.
Great. We're going to do another Q&A session. We probably do at least one or two more. I've still got so many questions to get to. And again, this week, if you get long-winded, I'll gong you, but didn't have to last week.
You just blow the horn or the whistle.
So before we get to the Q&A, we might want to talk about this recent revelation of the Trump Tower allegedly being wiretapped and the, quote, Obama administration says that's not true. My guess is it's absolutely true. I mean, I think the conversation we're having now, before it's even recorded, is being recorded.
Absolutely, it's automatically recorded.
The fact that it's being reported that the Obama administration is denying it. What administration is that? Is there actually an Obama administration, or did they call his press secretary?
There is no Obama administration. They're all scattered in different places. It would be a little bit difficult to find the press secretary.
Or is there?
I think you would, if you were in position, you'd give Obama a call. And he'd say the administration never did that. Well,
my question is, or is there?
There isn't. There isn't any. Okay? There is no Obama administration. That was yesterday.
He's trying to put one together. I mean, they've talked about that now for the last week or 2 weeks. He's rented this big house. Was it Valerie Jarrett has moved into the house. They're trying to create a counter-administration.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like children, okay? I've never seen anything like it. Once a day they got something new going on. And, you have to know that this Russian thing is in people's imagination more than anything else. Then you got pictures of Pelosi going to sleep while he's giving one of the best speeches he ever gave. And you wonder where, the Democrats that all came in their white clothes refused to stand up. It's like it's an embarrassment. Okay, it's like the way children would be fighting with each other, and there's no purpose to it. The man's elected; he's president. He has to commit a crime to be impeached. He's not going to be impeached. He's going to be around at least for a few years.
Well, it's like it's not about the country.
It's about the elites. The elites seeing the end of their operation.
Yeah, I think the fear has gone off the scale. The fear of indictments of all sorts.
Of all sorts. I mean, if it's not Pizzagate, it's going to be something else. What happened with those 400-plus guys that got arrested for pedophilia? Did they just sort of disappear somewhere?
Yeah, you've not seen anything in the news.
Where is there a word anywhere discussing the character of the case and how they put it together? Normal things they do whenever they arrest hundreds of people.
As far as I know, the only thing I've seen was the very first day, and they had to report on it because the sheriffs did a press conference.
Law and order. Without it, we don't exist. And what we're seeing now is the curtain pulled back from a society that is devoid of law and order. It's certainly devoid of order. Order requires basically respect. You can't say that throwing barriers through the windows of stores is an act of protest. It's a criminal act. and they're playing this time with an awake America, not with a comatose America.
With an angry America.
Yeah. Well, you wake up, you wouldn't be happy.
Right.
And playing with that is extraordinarily dangerous, because the history of this country is a magnificent history of courage. And somewhere along the line, something's going to happen. Another thing is disrespect. The setups at these town hall meetings. Why do they hold them? They're only going in with hired protesters who are going to scream and yell at everything, including "Let's pray."
Right.
Someone's coming off the stage, and someone's coming out of the audience, and there's going to be a riot. That's the beginning.
And speaking of town hall protesters, I'll just turn this over to you for a couple minutes because we got so many questions as to what happened with the disruption, not Saturday but Monday, to the TRX.
Oh yeah, sure. I'd be very happy to address that. We were putting the GoToMeeting up on our computers, at least the ladies were. And I called in early, just in case it didn't work on the computer, I'd be on the telephone, only to sit there and listen to the plans of the most popular trolls that bother all of our companies. And one particular troll said something which was outrageously offensive, and it was hacked in the sense that my meeting was a total setup to be a town meeting, something very similar to what we've just discussed. Now, my feeling about these town meetings is why do the people attempting to give the speech or the prayer stand there and still attempt to give it when you've got yelling and shouting and screaming and accusations, etc. going on? I knew I was going to walk right into that. And I did say to that one person who said the most offensive thing that I'd like him to try and say that to my face sometime. And I did describe rather, what can you say, tersely, but exactly what I thought of him. And there was no reason to try and continue a meeting that was going to be as disgraceful as our present politics have become. So I'm very sorry for the sincere people who wanted to hear what was difficult to hear on Friday, the first time we made the broadcast, and I left it at that.
Are you going to re-record something just on a closed loop yourself?
No, I'm going to let it happen. Okay? There are developments in our company, and the price of our company doesn't reflect. I mean, it's absolutely nonsensical compared to what's there. And there have been specific developments that I had hoped to be able to give at the meeting. But this entire endeavor to try and communicate, constantly fighting against what now is illegal, fake news, fake statements, is tiresome, very tiresome, for a person working very hard to develop a valuable asset, and to constantly have to face organized people for a purpose, depreciating those efforts. So it's very simple. I, for 14 years, have been the most communicative CEO that ever was in the business. I have a great respect for all those thousands of people I've communicated with that has been ruined by hundreds of trolls. So to get through to me from now on would be quite an endeavor. You want to know what goes on at the AGM? Go to the AGM.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I simply will not put up with the insult that were being prepared. And I listened to them preparing it to be thrown at me the minute I logged on the computer. So when I did log on the computer, I expressed my anger and also said that I had no intention of going through an hour of that kind of treatment, and ended the meeting. Don't intend to do it again.
Well, no doubt, Jim, you deserve better.
Well, we all do. Okay, we all do. But this world has changed so dramatically. There is no precedent where we could say this has happened before. Oh yeah, there was taxation without representation. Well, that's kind of a solid reason for getting a little angry.
Yep.
There was the Tea Party. Yeah, well, not a bad idea to throw some of that stuff in the harbor. Tell them how you feel. But from a small thing like that, and one shot, the war started. And we're getting down to the point where one shot is going to start the war. They're going to do a Ruby Ridge or something like that. And it's going to spread all across this country. They're playing with fire. The same fire I felt in my belly when I heard a paid individual preparing to categorize everything I said, and every word or phrase that meant untrue, false, or lie. And there's no way, after 56 years in this business, that I'm going to allow some guy living in his mother's cellar to give me a hard time. It just isn't going to happen. So in the future, you come and look at my face and tell me what you want to tell me. And I am half Irish. Okay? So when you see the guards, they're not to protect me. They're to protect you. Okay? So that is the answer. You want to communicate with me? Listen to our conversations, or subscribe to the special service. I'm tired of giving away things for free and having excretia thrown in my face.
Okay, well, let's start with the questions. The first one, someone asked me what the trigger would be for the coming global collapse. I said the collapse of the bond market was most probable, but then thought about this. Could it not be the gold trade note attached to the Chinese RMB, which is gaining against the SWIFT system of Western payment for trade?
Well, number two should be, but it's too complex for the public. You want me to give you one where the metals are concerned, the one thing that would set off a nuclear event?
Fire away.
Very simple. Failure to deliver.
Exactly.
Okay? That's it. Anywhere in the world on any paper exchange. And it has to happen. I mean, the selling that came in on silver came in dead on the long-term downtrend line of the last couple of years. Dead on. Now, you think that it was just an occurrence of coincidence? And
close to 2 months' worth of global production.
Impossible to put together in one piece. I mean, I know that gold is 500 to 1 in terms of the leverage of paper issued against warehouse. You got any idea what the leverage is on silver?
My guess is it would be higher.
My guess from that day is it's got to be higher. So, you know, the corporations in finance are not attempting to make money for the house. They're attempting to make money for the individuals that run the house. And they couldn't care less if the house burned down. There was no Lehman Brothers at Lehman. There was no Mr. Bear or Mr. Stearns and Bear Stearns. And nobody gives a damn. As fast as they make the money, especially from derivatives, which is all the money that goes into it drops to the bottom line, it comes out. It comes out in expenses. It comes out in property. It comes out in salaries. It comes out in in bonuses, it comes out like water through a sieve.
And if the company goes down, who cares?
They don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Okay? There is no Bayer. There is no Stearns. Who cares? There is no Goldman. There is no Sachs. Who cares?
I posted I put to the free site today, I posted an article, and I put the phrase, truth trumps confidence. And I asked people to think about that phrase, what that means.
Well, confidence stands on truth.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you take out the foundation, what do you have? You got a sinkhole.
And the whole world runs on confidence. There is
and the whole
other than confidence.
Look at MSM is being embarrassed everywhere. Okay, how many people that swore that was in the Wall Street Journal was true because it was in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington? It's been shown to be everything, including made up. And I think a lot of this stuff that you're seeing now is made up. Certainly the Russian thing is made up, where they're trying to tie together non-important events into a grand spy scheme of rigging the U.S. election. They're desperate, totally desperate to lose their power. That if you go back and if you can take a look at the audience during Trump's speech, especially the ones dressed in white, they look like desperate people bordering on losing control of their actions. Bordering on looking crazy.
Who could
thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, what in modern politics is that?
Who could possibly not stand up and applaud many of the things that he was saying to better this nation?
Hard-hearted people who don't give a damn about the nation and only care about their power because their power is their foundation for their money.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, next question. After the Great Reset, assuming that currencies are somehow tied to gold, will inflation of currencies still be possible? And how might international corporations base their forward-looking earnings targets?
Well, that also is a question of, does the euro still exist?
Mm-hmm.
Because in terms of how does a corporation base their forward earnings and hedge, they hedge with currencies. Currencies aren't going away. They'll still be here. The USDX might be right where it is now, except in terms of buying power. Because what difference does it make of the value of a currency against another currency? It makes none. It's a focus to take you away from the real value of a currency, which is if you put your hard work into this piece of paper, will that piece of paper reflect your hard work in your retirement years and beyond? And the answer is not a hope at all.
Right.
None. Zero. Your savings account is that which holds buying power, which is metals. Currencies are for transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So the person asking a question is actually terribly confused. He's asking whether the means of transaction is going to maintain viability and buying power. And he's saying, how will they hedge? Answer is, just like they do now, but much larger numbers.
Yeah,
currency
there will be
currency.
wipeouts during the reset. There will be treasury balances of corporations that get wiped out in the reset.
Well, bear in mind that we call this the reset, and now everybody believes that some magic hand somewhere is going to, on a Monday morning, say, thou shalt do the following. It's not going to be by edict. It's going to be in the marketplace.
Right.
So this whole idea of the reset being a not a terribly unpleasant event is nonsense. Nobody's resetting anything if they could avoid it. The reset will take place because of the transition of the mechanism for the valuation of gold from paper to physical as a result of a failure to deliver. And China and Russia aren't accumulating gold because they want to make a nice flip for a couple of $1,000 and build up their treasuries. The Vatican, the Chinese, the Russians, all the major gold holders, including those private entities which have been accumulating all the physical on Earth for the last 10 years, are the ones that will be holding the most valuable, stable assets in the world. Mm-hmm. And the ability to play that game that we just saw in silver will not exist. Because in order to play that game, they got to deliver that many months of production on a settlement date, which is no longer than 2 days, possibly same day.
Right.
It can't be done. How can you manipulate the price if you don't have the paper? Now, as far as gold attached to currencies, there's going to be no convertibility because everyone knows if you make something convertible, guess what happens? It converts.
Converted.
So it's the country with the largest amount of gold compared to the currency outstanding and level of debt, which will gain the greatest respect amongst people as being able to be a storehouse of value. Therefore, the currency attached to gold and that attachment is the country owns it. The currency, that currency will be interpreted as the currency with the greatest ability to maintain its buying power, and therefore the currency of choice. And the USDX is nothing more than the valuation of one currency against another. It tells you nothing about the ability of currency to maintain buying power. So it sort of will fall into oblivion.
And Jim, I was going to describe the reset as Mother Nature breaking through and markets actually clearing at levels where there's a true bid and a true offer and a true trade.
Well, that's correct. Okay, that's a perfect short, concise, and correct definition. People don't understand the word. They're starting to get into the idea that there's going to be another Bretton Woods, and out of this comes a new system. The system's not coming out of Bretton Woods this time. The system's coming out of the marketplace.
Okay, next question. It's a short one. This one question that no one answers, how come they cannot keep printing? And are the end results different? And I think we just kind of answered it. Yes, they can keep printing, and they can hold nominal values, but they can't hold real values versus the price of gold versus the price of silver versus a cup of coffee.
And a cup of coffee is probably, among the three examples you just showed, the one that the average person is going to be shocked by, because what you're referring to is the price of everything.
Right.
Okay? And then we're in Venezuela everywhere.
And they have to, in order to continue printing, they have to continue delivering metal. They have to continue delivering goods.
Well, to nullify the effect, yes, but what you can't deliver what you don't have.
Exactly, and that's why they cannot keep printing forever.
Well, because it will through the active marketplaces or through Mother Nature, whichever you want to call it, the printing will have its final effect on all the currencies. And now we have to split our vision between an index that compares currency to currency on the daily supply and demand basis, which is based in paper to itself, the index, or going to the local diner to try and get a meal. Venezuela is a very good example of where we're headed.
They're down to their last $10 billion, by the way.
Well, what next? I mean, people are starving. Rule of law gone. Public utilities on occasion work. People trying to get the heck out to go somewhere else, basically anywhere else, from a country that once was an absolute jewel.
Yep.
A total jewel. We were a total jewel. And we think we have still the capacity to see that again. But the capacity to see that again requires that the people of the nation have the qualities of respect of law. They don't. You think they're not? Do you think that's taught in school? Respect for anything?
No, the opposite is taught in school.
Do you realize they actually teach how to interfere with speeches?
Yes.
They teach the stuff I was about to be exposed to. They don't teach the fact of respect. I'm afraid to say, America was, something else will be. I hope that something else will be might be built on the principles of what America just elected. But they're going to give this guy, they're not stopping. It's going to get worse every day.
It'll be a revolution of Joe Sixpacks.
The ability for Trump to get anything he wants done is close to nothing. Their attempt is to make him look like an idiot and not to allow any of his reforms to easily take place, including every single one of those presidential orders. They're fooling with something that's beyond their ability to contain if they let it loose. And there's a very good chance they are, because the entire middle class, it doesn't exist. The blue-collar workers, what are they going to be? Where are they? Where's the manufacturing?
Right.
It sounds wonderful that he brought A plant back or B plant back, but how about the 500 other plants that aren't moving 1 foot?
Yeah, those jobs are gone and not.
They're gone. They're finished, and not only that, there's no people to do them. The technology of building a car has changed so much.
Right.
What is it, Betsy the Riveter or whatever that
Rosie.
thing was during World War II?
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, Rosie can't rivet anymore. She don't even know what a rivet is.
Right.
And that's the truth with the working force in the U.S. What is culturally accepted here now is entitlements. No entitlements? There's something that will give you a riot quick. Are you going to turn those people around to hardworking, dedicated Americans for the purpose of a great country? What are you drinking? We are on a road to perdition. Something that only the second coming can change, and I really don't think that's Donald Trump. I think by the time it's finished, their efforts to eat him up are going to destroy both sides. And I think a great chess player like Putin will find a way to take advantage of it. And Asia is where tomorrow is, not North America. It's exactly what I experienced in trying to, in exposing myself in the sense of, getting prepared to go through the AGM again and answer everyone's questions, just like I did on Friday. While the other side, I'm listening to, preparing to do what the Democrats are trying to do to Trump.
It's a changed world, there's no doubt.
It is so changed. Listen, the patriots aren't there. There's not, one by land, two by sea. It isn't going to happen. Paul Revere is not going to ride. But what will happen will have a distinct effect on everybody through its effect on distribution.
Well, confidence will break, credit will break, and there will not be any distribution.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you take this bandage off, this fake prosperity that we're living in, fake figures that we're living in, even Mr. Trump claiming the stock market to be his stock market, nothing more than a manipulation. The temptation to allow the false figures to continue in the best interest of peace and prosperity. The temptation's amazing, and it's scary when he agrees that this is the Trump bull market.
Yeah, that is scary, no doubt.
And we hung our hat on the fact that, okay, Air Force One is technologically the top of the world. But if you took off the technology that it has defense measures from incoming missiles and all that kind of good stuff, Trump's plane isn't so bad either. And personally, I think where he lives is a lot better than living in a museum called the White House. I think it's a step down for the guy. And I think his skin is as thick as a rhino, and his willingness to fight is he should be the king of Ireland. But that's wearing. As it wore on me after 14 years. It will wear on him. And the absurdity of the accusations or the actions that were taken by both sides is not going to lead to Queen Hillary retaking her proper throne position. It has to result in more, not less, disrespect. That's all it is, isn't it? It has to. If everybody's accused of some heinous crime in government, what will happen in the public? Hey, look, if the president can do this, or if the opposing party can do this, I can boost a car. I can rob a liquor store. What's that? So we're playing with very dangerous things which are not the solution to the problem. And there is
Jim,
a question if there is a solution now.
Jim, here's a follow-up. It's the next question, and it's kind of a follow-up, and then it's a 2 or 3 part question. But the first part says, do FEMA camps exist?
Of course they do.
They absolutely do.
That's public knowledge.
I think I've said this on the call before. I think I've written this. The night of the election, when it was apparent that Trump was going to win, I had tears in my eyes. I stood up, raised my hands, and said, the FEMA camps aren't for us, after all.
Right. They're all going to be wearing white suits.
Well, people are going to willingly, once distribution breaks down, and once it breaks down, any society is only 72 hours away from complete breakdown, complete chaos, because 72 hours is 9 meals. That's 3 days of breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You get a little hungry after that.
And after 3 days, you will have people willingly get on a FEMA bus to go get something to eat and take a shower.
Well, the people in prison, if prison still worked, would be living better than people would be in Middle America.
Next part to the question, let me just finish this. How will we know when to sell silver? I know we should keep gold for savings, but we'll probably need to sell silver before price starts to fall after the crisis.
It's all a question of industrial demand. Okay? What really is industrial demand? Because if hedging against this falls away when it actually occurs, what is the number that represents? I'll tell you what I think. I think you hold your silver, you hold your gold, and this is the rally you don't sell.
I agree.
Okay?
I had somebody write in regarding silver versus gold, and saying, yes, silver may do better than gold, but how can I move with it? It's too heavy, and that's why you have some, and that's why you have a good portion in gold if you need to flee. I mean, if you can afford to have 150 ounces or 100 ounces, and you can afford, 5,000 or 10,000 ounces of silver, then do it and vault the silver. Keep some silver for barter, junk silver, whatever. But like you've been talking about, that gold needs to be in your bug-out bag.
Well, for a bug-out bag, it's simply necessary for simple modern catastrophe, like a dam breaking in California. What do you do if you don't have a pair of clean shorts? Okay, do you think anybody's going to give you any? What are you going to do if you're the average guy who doesn't have any money at all? You think you're going to be able to get something to eat unless you pay for it? Do you think the Red Cross is going to take care of you for the next 2 years? You have to be able to take care of yourself. And as far as fleeing, it might be fleeing, but to where? You don't think this is a global situation? It is a global situation.
Absolutely.
If you don't speak the language and look like the guy next to you, you're a target. So, there really is nowhere for us to go but here. And the greatest hope was that the Democratic Party would act like the Republican Party in loss. Take its, wipe itself off, stand up, and go forward. Not try and tear down the winning party by everything from acts of violence to outright conspiracy to lie. The place is falling apart in front of your eyes. Trump tweeting this morning at 5 o'clock or something like that he had been listened to. What's the difference? I'm hacked. Okay, tell me what the difference is. Do you think any phone hasn't been listened to?
Right.
Do you think now let's go back to you have to go to court to get the court's permission, a secret court, of course, to get the court's permission to record a call. Who are you kidding? Do you think the NSA and the CIA are going over asking permission to record millions upon millions of different people?
Well, Jim, Google records every keystroke that you type. You could type something outlandish, erase it,
it never goes away.
It didn't go away. They got it.
No, and it's the same thing these dopey trolls don't know is what they say is never going away. And on top of that, any capable computer operator can find out who they are. I even sent a picture of a guy's house to him from Google Earth and told him it was a silly place where he put his pool. And, it's going to come home. What goes around comes around. These geeks in their mother's cellar playing all day with not with many different companies, people, and entities are going to be paid back. It has to happen. It will happen. And the damn dopes don't know that the law on fake news, in fact, did pass and is the law of the land.
Well, that was an executive order, wasn't it?
Well, on fake news, no, that was a bill.
Was it? Okay.
Yep. And they're in violation. And they're putting it in things that they're never going to go away. For instance, if that meeting had gone through, that would be forever because it was being done on the Internet.
Yeah.
And their thought that they can't be identified only shows you how stupid they are. Totally stupid. There's no way to hide on the Internet.
Recorded.
There's no way to hide behind a false name or 10 false names. Their entire thesis may have been okay when the technology first started, but their thesis doesn't exist today. And there isn't a person that they have injured who isn't, when they recover, going to spend the rest of their life chasing them.
Okay, next question. This isn't part of the question, this is a comment. This past week, we heard stories of gold-backed currency. There was a story going around that something to do with China doing a gold-backed currency. The question here is, if Trump were to turn to some form of gold-backed dollar, could that have the potential to change all of the bubbles we're now in? And the rest of the question, also, if our 8,133 tons of gold turns out not to be there, it's not. How much gold could our nation produce yearly? The rest of the question is kind of fallacious because the reader believes that we're producing 1,000 tons per year. That's not true. The only country that's ever produced 1,000 tons of gold in 1 year was South Africa, and that was right around 1970. That was the peak of their production. The U.S. only produces roughly 200 tons per year. The world produces, call it 2,700 tons per year. We'd have to dig 24/7. Financing would have to come into the mining industry in order to find more gold. But in order to accumulate 8,000 tons of gold, it's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Well, if the gold was there, then we would have a way out. The balance sheet could be balanced. Because of the infinite ability to price. I mean, you get the right price, you make the balance.
Well, and Jim, if the U.S. was the world,
yes,
and they had 2 ounces left in Fort Knox, that's enough gold.
Absolutely.
At whatever price it would be.
At whatever price, which would be something with more zeros than you can conceive of.
Right, but the problem is the U.S. is not the world, and there are other nations that have accumulated lots of gold. China, Russia, and our 2 ounces versus their 20,000 tons doesn't cut it.
When the inquiring party says China, if China was to become a gold-backed currency, every time China buys 1 more ounce, it becomes 1 more ounce a gold currency. Gold-backed infers convertibility, and what will make the decision is not the convertibility, but the ownership.
Right.
So, unfortunately, you'd have to go back and start in grade 1. The person inquiring simply doesn't understand what gold is.
It's power.
Well, how it functions, what it is. Of course, it's power, and if you have the gold, you make the rules. But there is a marketplace, which is a marketplace of derivatives. A future contract is a derivative of gold, and the derivative has become the price-determining mechanism. Now, the derivative is, like all other derivatives, going to become at some point in the future, in the non-distant future, worthless. Therefore, the price-determining mechanism doesn't exist. And the price-determining mechanism, then, is anyone with the most physical. And the price is whatever China, Russia, the Vatican, etc., wants it to be.
Right.
And that is the reset. Not some old man in the sky making a proclamation that the dollar will now be, as the pound will now be, because the euro will not be.
Well, the biggest holder of gold, or biggest holders of the gold, of worldwide gold, can simply make a bid.
Bid and offer, same price.
Same price, yeah.
Take any number you want, 5,000, 50,000. Bid and offer, same price. If that's how gold was 35.16. Right. Bid and offer, same price.
Yep.
People don't study history. When gold was unchanged in the many years when no inflation was around, it was bid and offered at the same price.
Well, Jim, here's a question, because we've talked about, in the past we've talked about Weimar Germany and how they rewrote mortgages. The reader's asking, how long will people have to convert a portion of their silver gold holdings into fiat for the purpose of satisfying debt, mortgages, etc., before the loans are indexed?
I would say common to Weimar, no time. Because when you went to pay the debt with bottle caps, the bank that you had the debt with said, go home with your bottle caps. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want money. They'll take money, sure, when it equates to the grams of gold that equated to the original loan. But you're going to say, well, you're going to have 2 days and 12 hours. That's pretty common now. Everybody predicts everything to the minute, and they're all wrong. The ability to pay your mortgage off to any financial institution during a change like that will be like telephoning a business that's not open. Your computer accounts won't work. An ATM will if you put something in it, maybe some bubble gum will come out, but definitely not money. The system stops. So the question is, how can I do this before the system stops? They're coincident. When the change occurs, which it will, the system stops.
Yeah, let me make a comment on that, Jim. I think the best real-world way to explain that is, let's say that we start to see gold moving up. You see a couple of good days, and all of a sudden you see a 1,400 print. And then the next day you see 1,550 or 1,600. I really don't believe you can have gold. We can't have a bull market. In other words, you're not going to see an orderly upside move.
No, because
once you get higher prices, it's going to bring in more demand. The more demand is going to absolutely swamp supply.
That's why you saw that big chunk of paper silver come out for sale right on the downtrend line.
Right, and once you get the big demand and supply can't satisfy it, you have your failure, and it's all over.
Yes.
So what I'm getting at is that's where the markets stop. That's where the markets close. And once markets close, you're not going to have the ability to pay your mortgage off.
No, you're trying to be in the real calm world.
Place, and you'll still be able to pay your mortgage off once the system reboots.
Yes. If you have the asset, which will be the last men standing.
Exactly.
Okay? And I think the last men standing is silver and gold. Not gold without silver. Certainly not silver without gold.
They are money. Everything else is credit.
Both have an intrinsic history of functioning as money. Why do you think the pound was called sterling?
Right.
Okay.
Well, think about it. The peso. I mean, it's all weight. It all has to do with the weight of gold or the weight of silver.
And who builds a wall and who stops doing business with them. But you are correct.
Well, let's take a couple more questions because we're pushing up against an hour. I thought this was an interesting question. If the Internet is taken down, how do people keep a tab on, in quotation marks, things?
You know, there was a time when there was no Internet. Okay, there was a time when I made 35 as a specialist. I made 35 over-the-counter markets, and there was no internet. There was a telephone. If you wanted to get a quote on a stock, the only place you could get it was from the odd lot houses like DeCoppet and Doremus, and your broker would call DeCoppet and Doremus, and he would give the quote, and your broker would give the quote to you, and you would decide what you wanted to do or not. The internet is not the entire world. I mean, that's like somebody saying, how would you live if you didn't have fire? Well, you'd invent it. But the internet is what everybody's come to believe in. I would say if you had Bitcoin, it would be like right now. Bitcoin is above gold. How about Bitcoin's under the sod? Okay, in one shot.
Right.
Things dependent on the internet to function is a foundation built in sand that can be taken out in one fell swoop of a war device that leaves everything standing, but kills all electrical based operations. Bitcoin is something that amazes me from the standpoint of lacking any solid capacity and becoming and existing as the trial balloon for central banks for a cashless society. That's where it gets its value. That's it. It's a trial balloon.
Well, just a quick comment on that. Let's assume that the internet's down and you have no information or little information. I have one. I think having a shortwave radio would be a great idea.
Well, that's all part of preparation.
Right.
Light, that's a key element of preparation, is a non-battery based crank radio shortwave.
Yeah, exactly. It's a crank.
Yep. I got my crank. You don't have yours? They call us old cranks. They're right.
Exactly.
Okay? You can't lose anything by preparation except storage space in your house. Which, by the way, is starting to be a problem.
You need a bigger house.
I need a bigger house. You know, I'm living in boxes.
Well, on that note, Jim, let's wrap it up. I still probably have, 100 questions or so. A lot of them overlap, but
well, if you can get them together, we should do an extended session for a week or two to try and work our way through these things. Our intended service. That was my intention for 14 years and $2 million worth of investment to develop into a town hall meeting, which was disgusting. I'm comparing that to a troll hall meeting, setting you up to take you out.
Yeah.
And the wise thing is, why walk into it? When you know what's there, why even step in the door? Why are these politicians even trying to get heard over the screaming and the yelling of paid demonstrators? And by the way, the trolls are paid. You know that, I know that.
Absolutely. And actually, Jim, it's a compliment. The bigger you get trolled, the closer to the truth you are.
Well, then you and I are we're close.
Yeah.
Okay, we got that proof taken care of.
Exactly. So
I mean, we got guys that must we must be the center of their lives.
Certainly a focal point.
Okay, a focal point. Okay, I'll go with that. I'd like to get the questions answered for the people if we can, because I'm not going to be like always available.
Right.
I'm not available anymore. So let's do it the way we're doing it now. Let's answer any non-repetitive questions.
We'll whittle them down.
Okay?
All right, Jim. You have a great weekend. God bless our listeners. I'll get this posted. Should be out first thing tomorrow morning on Sunday. We'll be back at you next weekend.
And God save the nation.
Exactly.
Good talking to you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.